Right, bunkers, one of the things that not many people tend to practice really, but obviously once we get in them, very difficult to get out of some. And none too similar, two are the same. We've just had a torrential downpour here, so I thought today's probably a really good day to do this because the sand's a bit indifferent, the sand's heavy, it's wet. I've just given it a bit of a rake. I've also trod down this area here just to create kind of a hard surface too. So we're going to have three different bunker shots. We've got a fairly plugged lie. We've got one which is sat up, again on wet sand, but we can play that like we would do normally on some softer sand. And we've got one on a fairly firm lie as well. You might be greeted with some slightly different shots too. You could be further up, you could have the ball above your feet, for example, and we can brush on that also. What's really important is with things like any angle, really, if you're out on the golf course, you're on the grass or in the bunker, that the shoulder line essentially matches the platform that we're on. Right, so first we're going to play the middle one first of all. So there's three ways in which we can play it. You can have a high bunker shot, mid trajectory, and a low kind of skiddy runner. And that's really dictated to by setup. So the right hand here. So I'd open up this right hand, I would have re-grip the club underneath the club. I would make sure the face is wide open to start with. I'm leading with the heel. I would then have my hand underneath. So essentially I'm fanning it open. That allows me to dictate the loft and maintain this loft all the way through the club. So I'm fanning it open. That would be for a high launch, high spin. Wouldn't go particularly far, but you might be left with a steep face. You just need to get it out and stop pretty quickly. There's one option there. You've got then a mid-range, which again, hand then starts to move over and more closer to the target, palm-wise facing the target. And then we've got the right hand over the top slightly more, just for that lower kind of launch. And that's the three easiest ways to set up for three slightly different bunker shots. However, posture-wise, or where we're going to set up with the ball, will remain fairly similar. So the first one, we are ball inside left foot. We're going to take a wide stance, left foot really open. And what happens is low hands, you've got to have really low hands. We're going to sit the back of the club onto the ground. So the back of the club onto the ground. And we're going to lead with the heel. So lead with the heel. And what's going to happen is as we work the club underneath the ball, the club's just going to slide underneath essentially. So it doesn't actually touch the ball, it's the sand that is disturbs, which moves the ball up to the air. On the way back, we're going to fan that right hand open. And once I've got to the top of my position here, I've got quite a lot of wrist hinge gone on here. I'm going to turn through the shot. And as I turn through the shot, that's maintained my attack angle, the radius in my golf swing. I've not tugged at the club, essentially, changing the angle of the face. I've not pulled it towards me. I'm certainly not tried to create any kind of downward force onto the golf ball. So now I'm going to keep my weight on the left side. As I take it back, I'm just going to turn through. A really nice shot, a couple of feet from the pin. Perfect. So that's really your setup. Their setup is into that left side, really wide stance, maintaining the weight on the left side throughout the swing. You're not coming backwards. There's no movement or transition of weight. And then as we get back to that set position, the fan open, we're going to turn, and that's what brings the club through. And that's what allows you just to attack that ball with a really shallow lie. Then going to move on to the plug lie. So we've got a plug lie now in wet sand. Really ball position here is more in the center of our stance. As it's in the center of our stance, we're going to close the club face down a little bit too. So we're obviously going to take sand before ball. We're going to grip it as we would do normally with a traditional golf shot. So kind of standard grip. Again, hands slightly lower, so stand back further from the ball. Nice wide open left stance. Take the club away and then turn through. Let's give this a go. Again, much more sand. Had a good effect, got it out nicely. It's on the green. Turn through the ball rolls on a lot more. So you can take that into consideration. There's not as much spin with it, obviously, because we're not sliding underneath it and creating spin that way. And now we've got our bear lie. So actually, we play this a very similar way in which we've just played the plugs lie. So we are going to play that in the middle of our stance. Hands are going to be in front of the club head. And then as we take that club away from us, again, traditional golf grip, keep the sternum, so the chest is the low point of the swing. So we're going to have that just behind the ball, and we're going to keep that there just so we can take sand first. And then as we take it back, again, go on a turn through the ball. We're not going to pull the club towards us. Really nicely out. Nice clean hit. It's a bit of sand before the ball, but nicely out. It's just on the back of the green, that one. Right, so those three scenarios there was mainly all kind of about the way that we set up, understanding how to work the club face, so either fanning it open and that feeling of the hands working this way, or fanning the club open that way to keep that open club face, especially when you've got a fluffy lie. When you've got a fluffy lie, really want to have that ball out in front of you. We're going to then, where the sternum is, that's going to be the low point of the swing. So the low point of the swing is the bottom of the arc of the swing. So if you put your sternum, the centre of your chest, the low point of the swing, then the ball in front of there, 3 to 4 inches, then you're going to bottom out in the sand, which is a good thing because we want sand first, and you get that nice smacky kind of sound, yeah? That doof through the sand. And it's the sand that shifts the ball, so I don't want you to hit the ball first. And then the others obviously just played slightly further back in the stance just to cater for the harder, barer lie and the more plugged lie. So 3 really good bunker shots to kind of add to your bag there, and I hope you get on well with them.